Fruit and vegetables in Australia have become just so bloody expensive, and we've spent the last couple of months going over our situation here on the farm and working out how can we become a little bit better or a little bit more self-sufficient. Let's have a look. G'day guys, Shane here from Windella Farm. I want to show you what we've got growing in our veggie garden here today, give you a little bit of a tour if you like, and show you how I was bloody lucky by sowing some stuff into these beds right here that's really difficult to buy here at the moment.
We're being warned the humble spud price could surge, with Victorian potato farmers no longer able to wear the soaring cost of production. It's the latest food staple price rise, putting pressure on the household budget.
It started as a little bit of a hobby for me, but it's turned into something a bit more than that. With the greenhouse here, we use that to basically get a head start on the growing season. And what I've used here is a few old water troughs from old farms, and they actually turn into some pretty good raised garden beds. We use raised garden beds here because of the amount of bloody rabbits. They're more annoying than politicians here. They go after everything, fill their guts, and off they go. Down here we've got some beans and some snow peas, some strawberries and stuff, and up here's tomatoes, and here is potatoes, and potatoes is what I'm going to show you here today. Recently, here in Australia, we've had a lot of floods, especially around the potato growing area, and it's really, really hard to get potatoes at the moment. So we're pretty lucky in that we've sown a heap here. We've probably overstocked it, if anything. I reckon today's the day we rip it up and we'll see what we get. These potatoes have been in about 100 to 120 days, it's somewhere about that. And what's happened, because we've had so much rain, you can see they're starting to die off a little bit, which is an indication that, and it's starting to discolour a little bit, which is an indication that they're ready to harvest now. And what's started to happen, I've seen more and more ants coming into here. So I think it's time to bring them up and we'll see what we actually get. I think we'll get a fair bit. That looks like a seed right there. This one here is actually starting to rot a little bit. That's because of the amount of rain that we've had here. So we'll turf him out and we'll keep digging up and see what we can come up with. Looks like there's a few here. There's a couple. Because this ground that I've sown these seed potatoes in is actually really well turned, it's like quite loose, this soil. I can do it all by hand. I shouldn't need to get too many tools involved in this. You see there are sprouts starting to come off this little one here. That's because this ground has been wet for quite a while. It started turning warm and the potatoes are starting to sprout. So I think it's the right time to do this. Have a go at that. That's from four potato plants. There's bloody heaps. Potatoes are such a good calorie source. It's a real kind of survival food, if you like. Such little do you need to do to these things to get such a massive caloric output into this. This one here is starting to turn a little bit green. That's because it started to photosynthesize with the sun. It was a little bit exposed, so that one there is probably not going to be that great. I'll put him to the side. I'll have a look at him when I'm done. There's a heap down under here. Ripper. There's so many in here. So many potatoes. That's one tray full. I'll get another tray. We're about halfway done here, I would say. It's so good that this soil is just so loose and so fine that I can do all this by hand. If I was sowing into the ground, I'd probably need to use tools. And when you're using tools with potatoes, you're generally going to damage a few of them. And move to the other side and get it from the other side. How good's this dirt though? That's amazing. So happy with that. There's one of the original seeds right there, seed potatoes. I might even keep that and re-sow it after I deal with, well, probably not in the same bed. Once I kind of rotate the crops, there's another seed. Just get rid of all these, the leaf matter. It'll make digging up these potatoes that bit easier. Because it was getting wet, it's been so wet, and now it started to heat up, I was really worried about these things sprouting. But it looks like we've got them in time. It's actually been a successful harvest so far. I only found one that's been a bit rotten, and only a handful of them that are starting to sprout. So this is quite good. I'm pretty happy about this. Tell you what, the amount of worms that are in here is crazy. There's so many worms. And so many potatoes. There's another one there that was slightly exposed to the sunlight. I don't know if you can tell, that's a bit green, that one. I think I'm going to need another tray. I need another tray. I'll be back. There's some more trays. Let's put him over there. Start the second tray here. Third tray, actually. Third tray. I've already got one over there. Just one point that you don't want to, as you store these, and this is the same for all potatoes of all breeds, of all types of potatoes, you don't want to leave them out here for too long in the sun, because they'll start to photosynthesize, then they'll be no good. This has gone so much better than what I thought it was going to go. Really happy with that. Really happy. That's a tomato plant, so we'll leave him over there. He's in the next bay over. That looks like all of them. Well, that's 3 trays here today, but I pulled out a couple of other ones that were just here day before yesterday, just to test. They're inside already. You're already in the dark bag in there. We've got a potato storage bin that you wrap. Basically, the way you store these things is to wrap them in brown paper bag. Don't clean them. Keep the dirt on there, because you don't want these to get wet now, because then they'll start sprouting or continue to sprout. You want to have them dark, reasonably cool, and not damp at all. So if they do get damp, the dirt that's on there will absorb that moisture and will help you preserve these things for longer. So I would have got 4 trays out of this one garden bed, and that's pretty bloody impressive. I'm just going to dig through with this little tool. I don't know what you call this thing. It's all like a little hoe and a garden fork in one, like a handheld thing. This is probably my most used tool in the veggie garden here. There goes one of the seeds, still sprouting. I'm not sure if, I reckon we might be able to try them again, but I don't want to put them in this bed here. I'm just going to clean this up. I got some squash yesterday. I'll plant it in here and we'll see how we go. There is a lot of creepy crawlies in this bed. It's such a good garden bed. I can see a lot of scale in here. I'm probably going to need to deal with that. There must be an ant's nest here somewhere, because there's a lot of little black ants running around. So I have to fix that as well. But 4 trays of potatoes out of this one garden bed, and this is not a big garden bed. That's pretty bloody good in about 110 days. There's a lot of calories there. Now I'll tell you what, with the way that the floods are going right now, and all these crops that have been damaged, that's worth a lot of money right there. If you live in Australia, or to be honest, anywhere in the Western world I think at the moment, you're going to realise how bloody expensive things are at the moment. Everything seems expensive. You've either got someone with a cough and it's going to put a bloody stop on all food production. Here we've had a lot of flooding. Again, it's made a stop on, or put a halt to all food production. So you've really got to kind of look after yourself, because the politicians are only looking after themselves, so you've got to look after yourself. And I think growing your own food is the way to do it. Out the front of the house, we were going to have a dam dug, and that will still happen. And once that dam is dug, we'll fill it with water, because, well, Olive, our Labrador, she has some pretty bad arthritis, and she's not really as comfortable as she used to be, and we want to be able to let her swim, and that's less strain on her joints. So we want that dam dug, and the dirt from that dam will go, some of it at least, will go to a much bigger plot for a garden bed. And that was meant to happen through the winter, but it just stayed too wet, and the excavator just couldn't get in there to dig out the dam that we want done. So unfortunately, I grew a heap of seedlings in the greenhouse there to get a start in preparation for that veggie garden, and it just didn't happen. So that'll happen in the future, don't worry about that. But what I was left with was a heap of seedlings, and I kind of overstocked to the ground that I had here, and I started looking for different solutions. I started finding containers and putting them in containers. I gave a lot of seedlings away to different people so they could grow their own tomatoes and so forth. The tomatoes, these are all tomatoes. I've got a heap of tomatoes down there. There's about 6 or 7 different varieties that I've got here. Some are heirloom tomatoes, some are just regular off the shelf, like Roma tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. But there's quite a few heirloom varieties here. And I've got probably 4 or 5 in there. There's 2 in there, there's 2 in there, there's 2 in there. There's probably 4 in there, another 1, 2, 3. There's heaps. I've probably got about 20 odd tomato plants here. And it would have been good to have them in that veggie garden, but we haven't got it at the moment, so we make use of what we have. And this here is probably a bloody good solution. What we've got going on here is in this bed here, this season was a lot about testing for me. I did a lot of throwing out a heap of seeds into a flat tray like are in the potatoes there, just to see what was going to sprout. And to be honest, I had pretty much almost 100% strike rate with all the seeds because of the greenhouse in the winter. So I had that head start. So I've got carrots in here, I've got zucchini, I've got chilies, silver beet, beans over here, snow peas over here. Like I said, a lot of tomatoes. Over there I've got some spearmint and some more beans growing over that trellis that's there. Some jalapenos down there, some cucumber out here, and out behind the shed I've got some corn starting there. I didn't end up putting as much corn in as I would want to do, mainly because of the rabbits. So the rabbits have already had a crack at some of those, so they're no bloody good to have. But we needed to bring some stuff up or build some rabbit-proof fencing, and the rabbit-proof fencing is almost certainly what I'll end up doing at the front. I'm using containers like this. This is half a 44-gallon drum. This is just an old wooden box that I found. I've got some buckets over there that are old, like car washing buckets that I've done self-watering testing in. We'll see how they go. I'll show you that in another video. But this greenhouse here, this is just sensational for getting a head start on that growing season. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show you with those potatoes. That's just bloody amazing. I'm so happy that that worked out that way. And if you want to see more about our garden here and what we're doing at the front, just give me a thumbs up and I'll keep doing these sorts of videos too. Alright guys, catch you later.